we have finished reading this contemplation of mindfulness. The next foundation, the second foundation of mindfulness, the contemplation of feeling, Vedana. I'd like to thank Billy again. Billy asked a good question about neutral feeling, how to notice that. Yeah. It's good to ask questions because, you know, some others might wonder the same thing. And because of Billy's question, I went on to find out more and then see if I can add anything more towards Billy's question about neutral feeling. And the materials that I referred to is back again to materials by Bhikkhu Analayo because he wrote a thesis 300 pages on the whole part. So when I went through, he covers this part on chapter 7.5, neutral feeling. Let's read a little bit about this, see if we can find any insight here. While pleasant and unpleasant feelings can activate the respective latent tendencies to lust and irritation, neutral feelings can stimulate the latent tendency to ignorance. Ignorance in regard to neutral feelings is to be unaware of the arising and disappearance of neutral feelings, or not to understand the advantage, disadvantage, and escape in relation to neutral feelings. As the commentaries point out, this is the interesting part. Awareness of neutral feelings is not an easy task and should best be approached by way of inference, by noting the absence of both pleasant and unpleasant feeling. Yeah, so as we have discussed a little bit earlier with Jolene, yeah, this part is not an easy task, awareness of neutral feelings. Yeah. The method suggested is to note the absence of both pleasant and unpleasant feelings. Then, when there's neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings, then that is the neutral feelings. Let's read a little bit further. Yeah, this second paragraph. Of further interest in, okay, I'll pass someone to read. Maybe Sister Billy, would you like to read?
Thanks, Marcel. Of further interest in the discussion of neutral feeling is the it's a bit difficult because I'm reading my handphone and your icon, right, block the last word. What's the last word? Is there
Abhidhamik.
Is the of further interest? If you can lower it, maybe lower, then it will help me.
Like this?
Of the yes, yeah, that'll be good. Thank you, brother. Of further interest in the discussion of neutral feeling is the amidamic analysis of feeling tones arising at the 5 physical sense doors. The Amitabha Dhamma holds that only the sense of touch is accompanied by pain or pleasure, while feelings arising at the other 4 sense doors are invariably neutral. This amidamic presentation offers an intriguing perspective on contemplation of feeling, since it invites an inquiry into the degree to which an experience of delight or displeasure in regard to sight, sound, smell, or taste is simply the outcome of one's own mental evaluation.
Okay, Thanks, Billy. Okay, let's try to understand this paragraph. This is an explanation offered by the Abhidhamma. What does it mean? Feelings arises. Only the sense of touch is accompanied by pain or pleasure. Firstly, the feelings arising at the other four sense doors are invariably neutral. What this means, the sense of touch, for example, if someone slaps me, and if any of you get slapped, the feelings would remain the same. Usually it's pain. Yeah. And if let's say you put your hand on top of a fire, you light up a fire, the feelings would invariably be the same. It would be hot and I would feel pain. And all of you, if you put your hands on top of the fire, you will also feel hot and you will feel pain. The sense of touch is accompanied by pain or pleasure. Firstly, this line. What does it mean when feelings arises at the other four sense doors are invariably neutral? What are other four sense doors? Let's take a look. In regard to sight, how can sight be neutral? Let's see. You have an example probably of let's say a lady. Yeah. Some people find some ladies attractive. Yeah. And some people, when they look at the ladies, it's just okay. They're not so attractive. Yeah. So it depends on one's mental evaluation. Yeah. One's own mental evaluation. You can regard the same sight as pleasure or as neutral. And sometimes, let's say, I see a person that I don't like, immediately my own mental evaluation regards the sight as unpleasant. And if I see the person that I like, usually a feeling of pleasantness arises. Yeah, that's one of examples regarding sight. How about sound? When I work out, I usually play a song to energize myself, to pump myself up. But if I'm meditating and someone else plays a music or plays a game, even plays the same music, sense of unpleasantness arises. Oh, why are you disturbing my meditation? That's regards to sound. So based on my own mental evaluation, it can be pleasant or unpleasant. But whatever coming in is actually invariably neutral. Yeah. If my attitude stays the same, I just listen in. Oh, this is just the sound coming through the ear. Then it is actually neutral. Only when I interpret it in the way that I like or dislike, then it becomes pleasant or unpleasant. Yeah. Okay, Jolene, yes.
Bro, sorry, I think I interpret this para slightly differently. If I may just give a little bit of what I will see this sentence trying to tell us. Okay, so what it holds here is we got five senses in every point of our attention. When somebody slapped me, my skin, my touch is the first sense of attention I pay attention to. So I can, because I pay attention to that, I immediately identify pain which is displeasure, and no pain, which is no pleasure. But at the same time, actually, my eyes is looking at maybe a car in front of me. There may be someone cooking somewhere around my house. There might be somebody have a smell, some shoes somewhere else, there's a smell, but I'm not paying attention to them because I'm paying attention to my skin. So because of that, my other senses are neutral. But the sense of my touch, I could feel directly. So what is trying to then tell us that actually, when every time we pay attention to something, we identify it, there will always be a sense of pleasure, displeasure, most of the time because of our mental evaluation. But once I don't pay attention to it, it's neutral. So for example, when I feel the pain here, but I'm not looking at the person behind the person or something. So in that sense, that becomes neutral. Yeah. That's how I look at this para of what he's trying to interpret.
Okay, and Saikyang?
Yeah, I disagree. I agree more with myself. I think what he's trying to say here about this first 5 physical sense is like what Marcel said, because I remember Shifu did teach us before in a retreat. That means when you see something like a green leaf or something, you don't carry on to your own mental evaluation of it. You just see, just say the color, like green, 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 red, 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 red. So I think when it says here, it's not whether you're paying attention or not paying attention to it, rather because, like what Marcel said, the touch is the one that happen to your body physically. So that means if let's say the same with the eye, you're seeing something, but if let's say a bee come and sting your eye, then actually that bee that sting the physical eye can give rise to pain or pleasure, that pain for that bee. And whatever that you use to the eyes to see, that means there is an object rather than physically, something happened to the eye. So that one is neutral feeling. Yeah, that's how I interpret that sentence or the whole thing. That means the sound also is a screeching sound. It is, actually no pain or pleasure. It's just a sound arising. So you just, arise and fall. Yeah, unless something pokes your ear physically, then that will cause pain or pleasure.
Yeah, sis, I understand what you're saying, but I think we should read this carefully. You look at sentence number 3. The Abhidhamma holds that only the sense of touch, he's giving us an example, is accompanied by pain or pleasure. While, why did he bring up the last sentence? If what you say is correct, there was a second sentence, while feelings arises, okay, at the other 4 doors are invariably neutral. He's talking about at the same time, what's happening to our other 4 senses, while one senses is feeling it. He's comparing that neutral and that pleasure. He didn't say that what you just said, right? The eyes, let's say, is feeling pain. The rest of the 4 should feel pain or whatever. He was not meaning that. But he brought it up and said, while the other 4 are invariably neutral. So this is the part that makes me think, okay, why did he emphasize that point? So is it what exactly he's trying to interpret is to try to let us understand how does neutral feeling actually arises in us. It arises in us is because, like we understand, if we don't pay attention to something, usually it's neutral. So that part of it kinds of like bring me to say, oh, okay, is that what he was trying to elaborate? So below, further, it invites in an inquiry into the degree to which an experience of dislike or displeasure in regards, okay, so he bring example, which is the other 4 senses, sight, sound, smell, and taste. which is something that at this point in time, you are at your sense of touch. It's simply the outcome of our own mental evaluation.
Sorry, can you repeat the last sentence? The last line you said, sense of touch?
So he says, basically, since it invites an inquiry into the degree to which an experience of delight of displeasure in regard to sight, which is the other four senses,
Yes.
he never bring in touch here.
Okay.
Was very specific in this sentence.
Okay.
Sight, sound, smell, and taste is simply the outcome of one's mental evaluation, because there's no direct sense to it anymore at that point. So because of that, right, it's simply you're just whatever that entails in your seats or whatever. But at this point in time, your interpretation is more on your sense of touch.
No.
So what happened to the rest at this point? Things are still happening. Maybe there's some guys behind still happening. Maybe there's some sound, there's some smell and taste still happening around us. But we are not engaging ourselves to say, oh, that smells nice, or that looks good. We're not looking at that at that time. So everything that is not within our sight or attention to is neutral. But another person standing next to me, who is not slept, the other guy standing next to me, maybe at that point, he actually experienced a smell of something he doesn't like, but he didn't feel the sense that I feel of pain or pleasure.
I think it's not saying the whole thing as happening at the same time, sister. I think if you have to have a sight, you have to pay attention to it. And he said, even if you pay attention to it, that sight doesn't really cause you pleasure or displeasure. Yeah. The reason why we have pleasure and displeasure is because of our mental evaluation. I think you misinterpret the sentence to say that when he says the sense of touch, there's this background of the other four senses. I think he's not referring to that. He's referring that whenever we see, hear, smell, or taste directly, even when we are seeing, paying attention, the sound we are paying attention, all these will still give rise to neutral feeling. Yeah, it's not telling about the incident happening at the same time. No, I don't think it's referring.
So sis, what you just said earlier is the earlier para. Okay, so that's what Marcel just touched on.
Yeah.
That's what exactly the earlier para saying. But these two para is telling us two different things. What you just said, correct, is on the earlier para. It could be pain, could be neutral, can be unpainful. That's correct. It's purely by inference of the conditions. Today, that thing that you see has no feeling. Maybe tomorrow you feel pleasure. Some things you realize is impermanent. That thing don't always stays pleasure. That things don't always stays neutral too. Sometimes you touch the same thing, right? Okay, so that's what it explained in the earlier para. It doesn't necessarily always is neutral. It doesn't necessarily is, it changes, feelings changes with that.
No, I think what he's trying to say is the first four physical sense, the sight, sound, smell, and taste, is invariably neutral. It should be neutral. Yeah.
No.
Only
sorry.
the sense of touch has pain and pleasure.
No.
Yeah, that's how I interpret it.
I see. Okay. All right. Sorry. I'm sorry. I would totally disagree with this interpretation. I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah, it's okay to disagree.
Yes.
Yeah, because the five senses equally can lead us to a feeling. The sight of something with the person that we don't like, immediately we have another feeling of unhappiness.
Yeah, that one is.
It doesn't need to go through the sense of touch.
No, not you don't come in the sense of touch. Actually, when we see something, that is sense of sight, and that sense of sight actually is neutral. To start with, that feeling should be neutral. You see something, it's just you see something.
Correct.
And then we associate it with previous experience or something like that, and we have our own mental evaluation. So we cling we have to label it as pleasure, displeasure after that. So what he's trying to say is at the very beginning, when you see something, you hear something, you smell something, and you taste something, it is neutral. But touch is different because touch, it affects our body. So like what Marcel has given the example, the fire, the flame, it is painful. No matter who put it, it will be painful. Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Anyway, I think I'll stop here. Maybe double check. I think we should double check this point. It's very important to clarify this because there is a big difference versus the interpretation. So that's why I thought why he brought up the 5 senses, particularly in this para, rather than just saying like our senses. And why does he do that? I think that is something he's trying to say there. Yeah, maybe you could write an email to Venerable and say that I read your article and this is something, and then see what he shares. Yeah, just to be clear, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot for the lively discussions. Just trying to understand quickly Jolene's point. The text mentioned that only sense of touch accompanied by pain or pleasure, but Jolene's interpret it differently. All five senses can give rise to pain and displeasure, but the text mentioned only sense of touch actually gives rise to pain and pleasure, but the other four, sight, sound, smell, taste, are all neutral feelings. It's only when our mind interprets the feeling by these 4, then it becomes pain or displeasure. So I think Jolene disagrees with that. Is that correct?
If we use our personal experience, right? Are we right to say when we smell something, we don't feel pleasure or displeasure? You smell something, everything is neutral. Just take example on a daily basis.
Yes.
You go near a rubbish bin. Every smell is neutral.
Okay, rubbish bin.
It's to say, for example, anything.
Let's say, for example, I give one example is cauliflower, the thing that I always dislike.
Okay, say eating. That must be you dislike at the sight of it or you dislike at the taste of it. I'm not sure. At what point you dislike?
No, let's just focus on the smell first.
Okay.
Smell. Whenever I smell cauliflower, I always, oh no.
Okay, so it's the smell that it triggers you.
Yes.
So it's the smell that leads you to a displeasure feeling. Yeah. So at this point, you didn't touch it yet. It's the smell.
Yes.
So that can still lead you to displeasure. It is not just the feeling of something that you get displeasure or pleasure.
Yeah, that's true. But some other people, when they smell cauliflower, they love cauliflower, and when they smell it, it leads to pleasure. But why is it different between me and that people?
Exactly. That's why. Okay, that's exactly that para that says. That's why it's not only through the touch you get feeling of pleasure or displeasure. Sight can lead you pleasure, displeasure. Smell can lead you displeasure and displeasure. Yeah.
Okay. No, the thing is, the pleasure and displeasure is happening in the mind after I interpret it.
Yes.
Not when I smell it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Same to the sense of touch. Same thing. Someone touch something can feel neutral, while other people touch something can feel hot or cold. Everyone has a different sense of cold and hot. What you feel is hot may not be very hot for me or very neutral. Exactly, right?
Okay.
So it's always also different.
Okay, I think I have seen a little bit what Jolene means. Does Saiken want to add anything?
I still feel what Venerable Analayo is trying to say is the first 4 senses, sight, sound, smell, and taste, actually initially is neutral feeling. It's only after we interpret it with our own experience previously, then we give rise to pleasure and displeasure. So Sister Jolene mentioned the rubbish should smell. Right. To most of us, it smells terrible. Yeah. So when we smell it, it's just a smell, actually. Yeah. We interpret it as smelly, you know. It's because of our own perception, basically. Yeah. That's what is according to the text say. That's the explanation that the text means. That means that's why for mindfulness, the stress here is always just to watch that feeling that arises. This feeling, this neutral feeling will also pass. Yeah. Before you add on your pleasure, displeasure. For example, this is real life. I was meditating, and the window is open, and then the rubbish chute person come and clear the rubbish. So there's this smell, there's this irritating smell. So I'm meditating, just like Sister Singhui, when someone smokes, so it irritates you, it gives you irritation. But when you're meditating, your mindfulness, so you're just telling yourself that this is just a smell that arises. This smell will go away, smell will go away. So at that time, I just, watch your mind, how it interprets anything, the smell comes, you cling onto it and say that it's a smelly thing. Yeah, it's disturbing my meditation. So instead of further, having displeasure for it, you just say, this is a smell, this is a smell. So when we cultivate that way, I think the next time when this smell comes, I don't immediately think of very smelly. Yeah, I just try to see it as a smell. Yeah.
So
Okay.
sis, sorry, exactly that point. I think it's so important, sorry, I need to really make this clear. It's so important. You just said that, exactly that point. Why do we cultivate, right? The reason of cultivation, of making it neutral, is because we have feelings towards certain things. Sometimes it's displeasure at that point, and that's why you cultivate, so that it becomes neutral. But by nature, sometimes you will feel that it doesn't need neutral to you, right?
By nature, it is neutral.
Correct.
It's because
but we cannot, yes,
it becomes displeasure.
Absolutely, right? So
Yeah.
that's exactly the point.
So when cultivating is that duality. It's not that you are cultivating this displeasure to become neutral. Basically, from the start, it is neutral. So
yes, correct.
They want us to train our mind to see things as they really are. Means whenever there's smell, arise, you just notice that there's this feeling of smelling something, then this smell will go away. So you see the arising, the falling, the arising, the falling. You don't put your pleasure or displeasure with that smell. So you just basically be mindful of that thing arising and falling. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But I know what you're saying. But okay, bro, really go and ask this question. If you can, whoever that write it about this para.
Firstly, I'd like to thank both of you for the lively discussion. And I have to emphasize that it's okay to disagree. In fact, it's only when we disagree, then we started to see different point of views. And then we learn much more. Yeah. So I really thank you for participating in this discussion. And tomorrow we may be able to continue. Maybe we can bring in some other materials after doing some research. Then tomorrow we can continue the discussion. Yeah, but for now, I think it's a good time to stop. But I really enjoyed the discussion. And thanks.
What I understand about neutral feeling is no reaction to any, no reaction. Just stay, no reaction. What I understand.
Okay, thanks quite for contributing as well. Let's do our homework, and then maybe we can come back tomorrow, and then we can continue our discussion. But for now, let's do a dedication. 燕笑三藏九烦恼， 愿的智慧证明了，普愿罪障悉消除，实是长行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. Have a lively Thursday ahead. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Sister Julie.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
Marcel, how are you
you.
feeling? Are you better?
Yeah, yes. Much better. Thanks for asking. Yes.
Thank you, bro. But I just want to let you know, brother, Sister Phyllis was asking about you.
Oh,
That she was very rejoiced that you're keeping this going. And that because recently she's so busy moving her house, she didn't join us. But once she's ready, she'll come back again.
that's good
Let
to
me
hear.
let you know
That's
that.
good to hear.
Yeah. I mean,
I think a bunch of you is the Venerable to 10 Children students, right?
some of us, yes, but we also study together other things. So yeah, so she just want to let you know that.
Yeah, that's cool. It's nice to have a study group. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
See you guys again. Bye bye.
Okay.